Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm here again. My name is Adnan and I mentor cloud and I have a few guests and I'm very excited to have these guys to be on my show. And Ali reached out to me the other day. I was doing social media things, stuff, so trying to help the guys, especially during COVID, so many people lost their jobs. So at least if I can give some directions, because there are a ton of information available on Udemy, on Coursera, Cloud Guru, Pluralsight, you name it. So the way I look at it, it's like a roundabout. You keep on circle and circle, and you if unless having the right direction, how are you going to make sure it's going to help you? Because there's information overload, right? So a lot of information you got to Google, but if you really don't know, I mean, and what type of job you need to search, the skill set. So I'm glad Ali reached out to me. We had a conversation, and that's the reason I asked this guy, hey, get on the show. Let's do some recording and I'll put it on my YouTube. And so many of you other people who are watching it is going to help to all of you. And then, who knows, feel free to ask any questions. So that's being said, I want to have a start with Ali.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having us, Anand, first of all. So my name is Ali Rizvi. I come from a hospitality background, no IT experience at all. Just started 5-6 months ago. I was actually flipping through my TikTok page and luckily, sure enough, found your page. Saw the video very interesting. Decided, let's take it a step further. Maybe, send you an email. Maybe see if you can guide us, to a right path. So, me and Brandon were brand new in IT field, no prior IT experience. And looking at your resume and background, it was amazing. It was, I thought you'd be really resourceful guy for us.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you. And how about yourself, Brandon?
Well, to start off, my name is Brandon. Same thing, working in the hospitality. Kind of got my hands into a lot of things. That's just who I am in nature. I like to learn, yes. And I found out of you because of Ollie, and so I started checking out your stuff as well. Very impressive. I did have a question, but I don't know if I could say that for later.
Yeah. Well, you hold on to your question, right? Hold on to your question.
Okay,
Definitely.
Okay, yeah.
That's the time for you guys to ask any question, right? So to you guys, Ali and Brandon, before we, why did you think about IT or cloud, Ali?
So right when COVID started, I started looking at different opportunities where we would have chance to grow and the market would be stable for the next at least 15, 20 years. All we did was really search best IT certifications. Mm-hmm. And AWS Cloud Architect was always on the top, or if not top 2, top 3. Mm-hmm. So once we kind of decided we were going to do the cloud, we focused in, zoned in on it. Right. And started doing more research and, just kind of started networking, to be honest with you. And after networking, found out, we got to take a particular course and get the certification, which we got. And the rest of we found you, and hopefully you can provide us the right guidance.
Same scenario with you, Brandon, correct? You and Ali both started.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I should thank him, man, because if it wasn't for him, I think I would have just, I don't know what I would have done, to be honest. But he introduced me to it, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what, man? It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information, but, you just got to keep working on it. And I found interest. I found one little thing that interests me, and from there, it kind of just triggered me to keep wanting to know more and try to get to the bottom of it. And so.
No, I mean, definitely, I would say I've been telling Ali that, you guys really made the right choice, right decision. You cannot go wrong with that, anything with cloud, regardless, whatever the people say, just forget it. And I have a million reasons of the data I can tell you, you're good. I mean, it's good. You must be proud of, making a good decision. This is honestly, because that's what I'm from the industry. So I'm not changing my career. You know what I mean? I know where I'm going to be standing next 10, 15, 20 years, right? So we're all in the good direction. So Ali and you, both of you have done your AWS Architect certification, correct?
Yes, we have. So, you know what? Actually, we studied for about 5 months. It took us about 5 months. We spent about 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day.
Nice.
There were some days where we spent about 8 to 10 hours a day. We would just repeat what we learned to make sure we understood what the professor was talking about. From there, we felt confident. We downloaded a couple of study guides, did some AWS white paper, read that, and
Nice.
felt confident to take the exam, and became successful.
Right. Okay. So this is awesome because you guys can sit here abuse my language, sit your ass on the seat for like 4 hours a day. That's very difficult for many of the guys. They just don't sit, because that's what really important when you want to study. Just studying is different than reading. So this is good. You guys are certified, right? So now, yeah. So now let's start. What are the challenges? And then where I can answer you and help you. So you have the certification without any technical background. You've been spending 5-6 months pretty much. And okay, so what's next?
So here comes the tough part, the challenging part. Once for us, we're practically brand new, right? Found out cloud was the best field. We achieved the certification. Now comes the hard part, looking for a job or
Right.
getting some hands-on experience. That's where we needed some guidance, and lucky enough, we found your page. And after a good conversation I had with you yesterday, I believe that the guy, you gave me a good advice, and I'm going to follow up with that. Hopefully, we'll be able to, get a interim level job or junior level job pretty soon.
So what I want you to do is the same thing what you did yesterday. Ask those questions, right? So it can help whoever
Of
is
course.
viewing and watching and
Of
sharing
course.
the video.
Yeah, so I'll go first, Brandon. Then I guess you can go after. As far as the three questions I had, especially for us coming from a hospitality background, I guess the background really doesn't matter. But if for newcomers that are debating, is IT a good field? What would you tell them? Just in our case, we decided, it was well worth it. What advice would you give them, regardless of their background, regardless of their age, regardless of their previous education level,
Right.
in general, coming to IT field?
Yeah. So as I said before, earlier in the discussion, you cannot go wrong with that, right? However, you just mentioned one thing, age. So if you're 50 plus, yeah, hold on, right? So yeah, because it's technical field, to be honest, right?
Of course.
But there are different directions. Let's say if you're 50 years of age, if you're coming from construction or something, and you're good at computers, right? So I have put some video around project management. Yeah, I mean, if you really don't have a job and you are looking for change and all that, but you gotta be very good at computer regardless, right? Then there are opportunities. You can take different direction, not to AWS Architect. There are less technical jobs. Online has hundreds of jobs and different, which even didn't exist 5-7 years ago. So that's there. So age does matter. But if you're, even if you're good at computers, even if you're in 40, let's say, that's the ballpark I would say, and you plan on coming in IT, right? So you're going to say, okay, next 20 years I'll be working regardless, 60, 65. So if you spend 40 to 45, 5 years in IT, so you still be doing good. And then you don't have to do a lot of technical. As I said, computer skills are very important. And I already been talking about some of the certification, even some of the salespeople, even the people who are less technical, director level, or mostly the salespeople, because salespeople know all the terminology, right? So that's why there are some Amazon Associate fundamental kind of course. Also, same thing from Microsoft, right? So they have designed it, and the course itself say you don't need any previous background, because you understand the terms, what are going to be used in that. So you could be selling, you could be selling online backup solution, right? You just sell it.
Got it.
You work for a company, you're good at sales, and you just do it, right? So
right. No, of course.
So you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so there are. I mean, in one short video, it's impossible for me to explain everything, but as I said, it's that 50-ish is kind of caution. Anything before, yeah, things can be done.
And then another follow-up question to that: how does one pick a particular cloud field to get in? I know Microsoft has it, Google have their own cloud platform, and AWS. From our we found out that AWS is up and growing, and majority of the consumers and bigger corporations are leaning towards Amazon. I know Microsoft is big, but not as big as AWS. But can you kind of more relay that information to us? In terms of cloud, which one is stronger than the other, or really?
It's a very difficult to answer on this, right? It's really you're not comparing. There's no way you compare, because you have to go back to the history. If you look at, so Microsoft is coming from the old traditional corporate environment. AWS is pretty much is not as close to as Google, which is 100% cloud, but AWS started with the same concept where they wanna, because the cloud itself is the invention from AWS. They invented it basically. And that's why if you look at the case study for Netflix and some other companies, the scalability they can achieve is on and through AWS, right?
AWS.
But if you look at, and the people who are a little bit techy, if you look at any banks, financials and all that, they're all traditionally for the last 20 years or plus coming from Microsoft environment in the Windows.
Right.
But
right.
I'm not talking about Oracle, SAP, but there are so many systems, a big, large financial firm runs or bank run, they have HR system and all that. So you'll find mix and match for everything. You'll find state-of-the-art Linux infrastructure
Right.
running on Oracle or open source, right? But if you look at why Amazon just picked it up so fast, because all the new startup, that's my personal observation, okay? So people don't have to agree or not, but that's my personal observation. All the startup you see, every other startup is AWS. And now I've seen a startup leveraging natural language processing. They're also using Google, right?
Right.
So it's really not the question which cloud you can take, maybe, but they are all good. There's a potential to grow your career regardless, right? So you'll have to do some homework. Like this is example I give it to pretty much. This question has been asked, right? So if you have, let's say 20 grand, for example, cash, and you come to me, hey, I want to buy a car. I will, no, hold on. I cannot suggest you to buy a car. Why? Because I don't know, you like a two-door, you like a coupe, or you like a race car, or your Mustang, you Charger, muscle car, you need a 4-car, you like a sedan. You know what I mean? You got to do
Right.
your homework. So you cannot go wrong.
Lamborghini.
Whatever makes you feel, enjoy your ride. So that's the beauty in cloud. You cannot go wrong. The future, the career is awesome regardless. Now it can change where we'll go to maybe your next question, then I'll talk more about it.
Yeah, Brandon, you want to go next?
Sure. Throughout your AWS career IT field, what's a challenge that you went through that was, I guess, in other words, that kind of, did it ever make you rethink that, oh man, do I really want to do this? You know, like something that kind of was discouraged you, I guess.
Yeah, so I built up my career mostly in Microsoft, not in AWS. But these days I deal with all the cloud because of the nature of the work I do. I have to evaluate any kind of cloud, even SAP sometimes. Discouragement, it kind of depends. You have to be proactive. Only discouragement can happen is, for me, I think, sometimes I think certification, because I'm a big fan of certification. And along with the experience, that's matter, right? So if I say, and it goes back to some of the stories in my personal experience, and the system I work, large scale deployment, and when I saw other people, they did not have the experience and they were ahead of me. I reevaluated myself. I didn't have those certifications, right? So that kind of like, what the heck, you know? I know pretty much more than these guys, a lot of stuff, but still, you know, so that's kind of something I didn't feel good. It wasn't discouraging, but it was like, okay, you know, why I'm not capable of doing that. So let's just do some certification. And in that span of 2 years, I did 11 certification, all Microsoft Home, back to back,
Wow,
back to
that's
back,
crazy.
back to back. One certification took me 4 attempts. Okay. Because I'm not a big fan of like, you know, I don't, when you memorize and all the practice tests. So I've been practicing, I failed. But I was like, if other people can do it, you got to do it. So that, when I passed that course, after that, every one I was in pretty much one shot, like 11 of them. So that kind of took me to the next level, you know. I had the same experience, but now I had a ton of certification, and I could speak on my interview that, hey, you know, I know what I'm doing. So, yeah.
So another question for you, Adnan. So if, like in our case, we got the Cloud Solutions Associate Architect certification, for us, is it more important to get more hands-on and do the labs, or is it more important for us to achieve a second certification that just kind of builds up on the certification we already have?
Yeah, so in this hand is not a red stop sign, but I say stop. No, don't do any certification now, right? Now you have to get more hands-on, right? Because when you go for an interview, they will ask you those questions. Okay, you're an architect, then expect those architect level, right? So, but you are definitely not going to apply for architect level because you won't meet the criteria. So go with the junior level. So junior level, usually the questions comes, okay, we need to set up VM. We need to set up a network security group. We have to, how does the basic thing, how does the RBAC model work? Like permission model, right? So you don't want to give everybody permission, full access. So you got to have a different administrator for storage, a different administrator access for identity access management, creating account, a third person may be managing the VMs, so you have to, so these kind of knowledge. And then even in your lab, you need to practice that yourself. Even two of you are working together. Think of the organization is a 500 people and how many IT people they will have. Okay, so to understand that, that's really make you different in your interviews. Okay, you know what?
Make you stand out.
Yeah, exactly. And then you understand the technology. It's not just a traditional way of doing it. That's very important.
So
being detailed. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you think being detailed is important as well? Being a
I mean, you can say it's detailed, but yeah, if you apply for the job, go through the what is being asked, right? Usually on those they ask you qualification, they ask you also the job responsibilities, right? So those responsibilities basically are the expectation from you to deliver at the job, right? So if you think of you missing out of 8-10 responsibilities, you don't have to be 100%. Okay, that's one thing. It's a tip. Any job you don't have to meet 100% because nothing exists 100%. The maximum you'll find 60, 70, at most maybe 80. Okay, so out of those responsibilities, you say, okay, if I'm going to meet 60 or 70%, chances are I'm going to get this job. Now, do you have those skill set? Okay, if I need to spend one more week or 2 weeks, learn that. And also try to reach out to, as I told you yesterday, nonprofit or maybe Upwork and Fiverr. Even you have to do some work for free online, just do it, because then you will have something to write in your resume, right? So that's how you can speed up your long-term goal. So instead of so think accordingly, and then as much stuff or experience you can have in your job on the resume to stand you out. Yeah.
Now with this position, how much programming do you need to know, or is it really that much required that we shift our focus after labs to learn programming like Python and whatnot?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a different path basically. You need to know some scripting. I always say PowerShell. For AWS on automation. If you want to plan your career towards automation, DevOps, then you need to be, there is some Salt, there is some Puppet, there is some Chef. I don't know the detail of all of them, right? So I know guys who used to sit next to me and they were building those blueprints and all that, templates and everything. But that's totally a DevOps area. A DevOps is different than engineer. You could be a DevOps engineer. Then this is where you need all those scripting skills, but it's not a mandatory, right? So if you don't like it, just focus on your regular Azure infrastructure, learn identity and access management, learn how the migration works from P2V physical to virtual, and some even you can work some on the automation tool. There are companies, you just go and feed the data or some of the scripting, so you don't write from the scratch, and then you leverage that platform, and then you can do this. You may have to create some cheat sheet and all that, and a lot of stuff is available on GitHub and all these GitLab, I believe, from AWS. But that's a different direction. DevOps itself is a separate career direction.
So AWS actually has 3 certifications to start off at. I know they have Cloud Practitioner, which we completely avoided. I think it was too basic for us. We knew, the basic cloud functions, so we decided to pursue the Cloud Architect Associate, which is the one above that. So I know Cloud Architect Associate has another one on top called Professional, AWS Cloud Professional. And then aside from that, there's another one. I know you said DevOps is completely different programming and different field. What about SysOps admin? How do you link that with Cloud Architect?
Yeah, so in associate, I believe you learn the fundamentals, right?
Right.
Yeah, so SysOps is basically about the system administration and operations. Think of it as a traditional system administrator job. When you apply for IT admin job, where you will be managing a Windows network and Linux machine and databases. Now everything is in the cloud. So how would you manage those VMs? How would you be troubleshooting the network? So if I give you an example with this certification, with this skill set, what your expectation in a job is, you're managing a network for a company in the cloud where they have some VMs running with some of the databases, and they have some also services running maybe in a SaaS model. So how do you connect all these databases in the backend? So you need to have some networking knowledge. So the basic fundamental concept of networking is same, but the way you configure is tooling, basically. Think of it as a tool, like Plier.
It's a different type of tool set.
Right?
Got it.
So the concept is same across any cloud platform, but the way you do it with those feature, you click them, they call differently in AWS versus Azure. So that's why they have their certification, and they will tell you, okay, if you click on this button, like there's availability group and availability zone. Basically, they do the same thing, but they call different in both environment. So that's the good way to go, because operations is a good, because you will be dealing with those and making sure the servers are up and running, those servers are secure. You may be working with some senior guy in the networking to make sure firewalls and load balance and everything is there. So this is how you're gonna do a stepping stone. You learn the operations, and then you can build up your career on additional feature and capabilities. If you're setting up if you're managing a server for e-commerce, so that e-commerce guys are doing the programming, but you are managing those 10 servers. So applying the patch and all that. So that's the operations thing, right? It could be running a Linux machine, or it could be running a Windows machine. It could be SAP on that Linux. So SAP guy managing SAP, Oracle guys managing their own Linux machine, but underlying Linux, if your infrastructure service, it's your responsibility to have the patching and antivirus and everything, making sure, right? And the networking and all that. So that's where, and it's a good to start for somebody if you really, and that's why I say it's got to be mandatory in my opinion, if you're looking for infrastructure side, because you need this way you can learn the nuts and bolts of system operations, basically.
Got it. And then with DevOps, he said, again, going back to the certifications real quick, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But with DevOps, intensive Python is what you would need to know, obviously JSON and different programming. But if you were to continue going in the Cloud Solutions Architect and then eventually get the System Ops, programming is not needed heavily as you would with DevOps.
No, you don't. No, DevOps totally. Here at most you will just to be doing scripting, and scripting is required to automate this stuff. Let's say if you need to, let's say, open a port on 50 servers, or a block a port, for example. I'm just giving a vague example, okay? Right. So instead of going each and every server, you write a script and boom, it will just apply on all those 50 servers, and there you go.
So do you suggest where someone like us can learn shell script? I know, matter of fact, Brandon, I'm not sure if you remember, we did a project yesterday with Lambda.
For shell script?
It asked us for shell script, yeah.
Well, when we downloaded Python, I think we could actually program it on there. I think it's on there, shell.
Yeah, no, if you could just, if you could kind of briefly, inform all the viewers that are going to be watching this video along with us, if somebody is brand new like us, where can they learn shell script, or is there a particular way they can get their hands-on experience?
I'll have to come back where you can learn, because I don't deal with this a lot, but I would say check these GitLab and GitHub.
Got it.
Go and check out these. This is where all the DevOps thing happen. All the repositories are there. Anything you can think of, machine learning and AI, ton of stuff there on their repository. So you definitely will find some directions and guidelines from there.
So from what you've said so far, basically it comes to a personal approach.
Yes.
Which side you want to take? Do you want to go DevOps or do you want to stay with the infrastructure and cloud architecture? Now,
Right.
is one field better than the other in terms of future and the salary wise? Like, what can one expect making money? Do you have more potential to move up as well in DevOps or stay in the cloud infrastructure field and be a consultant? Or later on, never know, open your own consulting agency if I'm.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. So there is no right and wrong, right? It's a an individual's thing, right? Uh, if you're consulting, you make good connections, you're more open to customers and all that. So who knows, down the line, 10 years later, you know a lot of people in the industry, you could start your consulting. I told you DevOps make good money and salary wise because they write the code and you come up with the new product which you're saying there is market and it's missing, nobody has developed it. But you miss that connection from the people in the industry because you're running behind the scene. So it's about, again, where your interest is, right? Follow your passion, where you think you enjoy sitting 8, 10, 12 hours because you don't really care about the time, right? I remember my days, I worked 20 freaking hours, 36 hours in the data center because it's a passion, and it will pay you off. I mean, you may not see immediate outcomes the next 6 months or year, right? But that's, you always have in your brain, I like doing it, okay, I solved this problem. So you're solving the problem, troubleshooting it, or you're solving a problem, writing a code, right? Again, it's a huge demand, but as an industry, why is, let's say if it also depends on this, if you're a graduate in university college, you are 16, 17, 20, right? If they were to start an infrastructure, I would say no, because there are people already in the market with the experience. How are you going to compete with them? And for a person like me, I do not want to go back and learn data scientist. I would not do it. I know there's a market, but let those fresh grads to learn data scientists and all that, right? So there is something for everything. And
pros and cons, right?
things are not going to change overnight, right? 5G has to come. It's going to take 4 or 5 years. I showed you the other day, IoT. So with the cloud, the beauty is that cloud, and the way you guys are spending your time is you're damn serious about it. Within 6 months, 8 months, I can tell, if you keep the same consistency level, you'll explore a lot of more avenues for you guys. So you'll be good then, if you just follow the same, wherever you find your interest and just keep working on that. But make sure you achieve those, you don't want to distract.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then what can one expect like us? When you Google salary for a junior cloud architect, a bunch of numbers come up. From your background and your experience, what do you think is a good salary to start off in this position for somebody that has no prior IT experience except for a certification and lab hands-on experience?
Yeah, that's a tough question, right? So you want to search something junior administrator. Don't search architect, right? It will create confusion because architect is something, I don't know how good these search engines are or job boards. Search for AWS junior administrator or Microsoft Azure or whoever is, depending the skill set. So I would say on the basis of not having an experience, if there is a college graduate, for example, they don't also have experience, but the college graduate easily makes 60K. I think this is their entry-level job, right? And also depend where you live. So let's say, I want to go with the worst case, okay? Let's say you end up with 40K, for example. Let's take the worst example. But don't think you're going to work there for a whole freaking year, just 3 months. I don't know, people will be watching me, I'm saying publicly, but I don't care, right? Get the job, get the resume, get those 3 months of experience. Now, what you have done in these 3 months is not equivalent to somebody who is just working 8 hours. I'm sure you guys are putting 4 hours extra on weekends.
Right.
When you go to the next experience, go for a little job. So you may be not doing the next job at 40K to 50 or 60. You may be hitting 70 or 80 because then you know what's your next job. So in those 3 months, plan for your skill set for the next job. Develop their skills. And that's the beauty of the cloud. It's not a regular labor job where your hours are counted. It's your brain, it's your knowledge, what you're capable of. And that's the beauty. I was, again, on social media, and I would put like in New York and New Jersey, I don't know about your state, Basically, 8-10 years ago, recruiter used to ask me how much you make today. What's your current salary? Now they cannot ask me this question. So if you're making, for example, 40K, and if you think you deserve 80K, if they ask you, you say, no, this is what I deserve, 80K, and I'm there on the job interview, right? And it's your confidence. You'll get that job. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be what you make today. It's absolutely not.
Right.
Look for what that skill set is market
Required.
price in today's market. Right? So when I give the worst example, 40K is better than working for free for somebody. So
Right,
you need to get on the job, work for the whatever, then get the industry experience. That really matters. So if you have a ton of certifications and no way you can reference you have an experience, you know, that's people, okay, he does not have that, right? So you got to have that. So like say you guys are learning, as I told you before, even these days, do some volunteer work for a non-profit. Tell them, okay, I can spend 4 hours, 6 hours. I can do your backup in Microsoft AWS because your on-prem backup in a shitty closet. Who knows? Flood happens. Who knows? Electricity goes down. Your hard drive will be burned, right? You'll have physical. And what you're going to do with your 2 years of data? Let me back it up in Azure. Go to the Azure, look for the backup services, migrate the data whenever necessary, right? That's an awesome example.
Oh wow, that's actually a really good idea. That's
And you
a really
don't
good
need,
point,
and you don't need 3 years of experience. You know what I'm saying? You are bringing the value on the resume. Hey, I can do it. So I don't need freaking 3 years of experience just doing the backup. If you're doing the backup for 3 years, I will not hire you because you're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So those are the things.
Oh,
So
for sure.
yeah. So you need to know, okay, this task. So think of it as a task based. Okay, I can do this task. I can do this task, and that your resume should look like next six months. Okay, you're capable of this on the job to deliver, and that all small medium-sized companies are looking. Hey, this guy's capable of. They know these things, right? And it will develop your experience and confidence as you go on.
Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So would you say for the people that are watching, it's important to put yourself out there, you know, even if, you know, at times you don't know what you're doing, but the only way you're going to learn is through doing it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
More hands-on, more labs. You know, kind of promoting yourself.
Hands-on, absolutely hands-on. Regarding in your lab or in a non-profit project, volunteer project, think IT is a skilled market where you don't need a degree. And I can do a separate, like where I can justify where do you need a degree. Of course, there are legitimate, very good position. There definitely you need a degree. But with cloud and all that, there's all of a sudden huge demand, and it's a skilled job. Like you ask for a plumber or electrician at your home, they don't have a degree.
Right.
So you're solving the problem basically. You're solving the business problem. So why would you? Let's say 4-year degree is required, so you have the skill set. So you will pay a plumber to come and fix you something. They charge you like $250, right, for the thing, whatever. Same thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So so develop those skills.
That's a very good example. Yeah. You're not going to get a plumber and making sure that, hey, they have 4-year degree or.
Of course, no, come do the job, man. Yeah, exactly.
No, absolutely. Now, what is a typical work environment for a cloud architect? Do they work mostly from remote, or I know different companies have different, you know, flexibility. And what is a typical work schedule like for them?
Right. So I want to correct this. We are talking about associate architect. So it's confusing me also. When you say cloud architect, okay, cloud architect.
Associate architect.
Totally, associate architect. This is fundamental. These days everything is remote. Things will change. Who knows? Maybe next year. And remote jobs are not going to go away because every company now is shifted. And if you look at all the big companies, they are not even opening new offices. Even they are saying they're going to move their people remote, go live in rural areas, right? So this has already been happening, right? So who knows future? But again, in my opinion, next 2-3 years, you know, it still be pretty much remote, especially in IT.
And then do you still work like a 40-hour work week in that environment, or do you, you know?
For the new starters, you may end up working more. If you're entering, you may end up doing more. It depends what kind of organization you join, right? If you join maybe very disciplined work environment, which is usually a health sector, large, what you call benefit, 8, 9, all these companies, health provider basically. If you work for these kind of companies, banks and all that, so they are very structured. If you end up working for a mom and pop shop, forget it. They will call you like 12.
I know that's what Brandon wanted. He wants to do that.
Good luck with
that. Now, do you recommend any projects for us that maybe we can do, and maybe we can come up with another video and kind of show our projects, what we did for?
Yeah, but you have to make sure what you're going to be doing, right? So you have to decide, because I don't want you to focus. Let's say you showed your interest yesterday, infrastructure, and then you're doing the programming, Python. To learn the scripting, because Python itself, a little bit knowledge is good, but if you want to put yourself, okay, I want to be in the job for the next 3 months. After 3 months, I should be ready for the market. Let's say, just put 3 months.
Right.
90 days. So how much of the 3 months you want to put on Python? But you're targeting the job as an infrastructure. So if you're putting a full 1 week learning Python, would you rather not running that backup solution I just told you?
Right.
So you have to wait at that. But you still have the basic concept of Python. Maybe later you say, okay, I can do the Python. Because with little bit of knowledge of Python, you ain't going to get the job. But then you have to put that whole 3 months. And Python itself, I'm telling you, it's very good for machine learning and AI. There's a huge demand for that, right? But that's all coding and all that. That's what I don't do it, right? But again, market is good. You go and look it up. People even making in San Francisco and Seattle 300K, 350K, the whole package, right? Insane, right? But then you're expecting to work like crazy. So companies hire, like you go in a Tesla and all these big companies, startups, crazy money. So it all depends, I mean, in every area. But if you start with Python, for example, what kind of code and expertise, you have to do some more homework. That's what I'm saying. They're totally different areas. Python's pure development. For AI and machine learning model, you have to work, and Jupyter and all that. Then you have a DevOps. Then you have infrastructure side. And then there are also some technical manager, like where you become a SaaS and platform as a service, managing those projects and all that. There's a huge, multiple directions you can land into.
So another follow-up question real quick to that. When should one obtain the SysOps admin certification? Is it when you get your first job in a junior administrator, or do you say?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? That's a very good question. We'll take your examples, right? So let's say you are on the job next month, and 6 months later, when you're about to be, let's say, I want to change some direction from that company. At that time, at least give 6 months to yourself, minimum. And then certification will help you open that door, because this is what I've been for the last 6 months. I've learned this. Now think I will be doing this. And for that reason, you have a certification, so it will make employer or HR, okay, this guy is really doing work and serious and taking certificate. Just take one. I think they have 2, and then plan for another, maybe after 6 months or 8 months later, depending. Because that will help you jump. Because even the partner companies, who make, because they also get benefit from the certified people. So 90+% don't know about it.
See all this insight that all the viewers are going to be getting if they watch this video. Another question for you. In terms of the job title with the Cloud Architect, Associate Architect, or Associate Cloud, what are some of the job titles like us, we can look for instead of, wasting our time getting those. If you type Google Cloud Architect jobs, a lot of jobs come up, but they require a lot of experience.
Yeah, because you're putting architect, right? Don't put architect.
Right. Oh, got it. So what
everything is junior, anything junior administrator, cloud junior, just to put something, anything with the combination of junior, junior admin and all that stuff, right? Or entry level. If you go to Indeed, you find entry level where they have required no experience at all, right? Apply for those jobs. Write a nice cover letter, because you're transitioning.
Is there such a thing as entry level cloud jobs or entry level cloud?
There are entry level. You look for cloud engineer and put entry level in Indeed. It will show up entry level jobs. Yeah. And
all those jobs, there, you said Indeed is a good place. Google, I think, is another good place.
Google, Indeed, LinkedIn. These are all good place to find any job.
And then for the labs, you said GitHub is really good. GitLabs is really good. Do you particularly recommend a particular project that you can think of that you can maybe suggest that might be beneficial for us?
Yeah, that's a broad answer. I would say when you go to AWS, read case studies. They have the scenarios.
Case studies.
So you
Got
know
it.
what are the business requirements. That will make you understand why this product works this way, why even
Got
it
it.
does exist, right? Why one
Right,
should
right.
move a backup system from on-premise to cloud, right? So they have the business case studies. Hey, this company has this problem, a statement there, then how did they solve it? So that's really, good, but why these tools exist. This is how it's going to help.
Yeah, so what recently what we've been doing is on GitHub, we've been following AWS Labs, and we did some of the lab projects there, working with S3, RDS, Lambda functions, invoking a Lambda function as well. All that I felt like really enhanced our knowledge and experience aside from taking the course.
Right.
I feel like the viewers, if you're listening to this, please, the more labs you do, the more beneficial it is. Just coming from our experience, no IT background, within the last 5 months, getting a cloud certification, and along, following Adnan's advice. So far, we just started, talking yesterday, and we've gotten so much advice and knowledge from you, Adnan, that I truly appreciate that. Really do.
Very.
So any last questions? I got. We are pretty much. So any last question you have, or want to wrap it up?
I just want to give you a shout out. I think you immersed amount of knowledge, and I truly appreciate you sharing the wealth and taking us under your wings. And hopefully you can continue guide us to the right path. And of course, hard work is required for that, and we'll do our best to make sure that we are successful after doing all of this. And also, listen to your advice.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I will always come up with a diet plan. You have to do the push-ups.
Sounds good.
I'm ready.
That's easy.
Yep.
Coming up with the plan is hard. Push-ups is easy.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, taking the time.
No problem,
I really appreciate it.
Wish you all the best, and just keep doing this work, and make sure it's all hands-on.
Yeah, nothing is impossible.
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.